Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to bring a message for the chosen. If you find that this resonates with you in any way, please be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and let us know how it resonates with your circumstance. So, chosen, I want you all to observe this photo right here. Now, this is a depiction of a woman who has her child in the church while whoever this is, whether it's the pastor, pastor's wife, or someone that's in a position of authority in the church, is performing a ritual on the child. And as you can see, there's blood everywhere. And no, this is not an injury. This is what it would look like if you had the physical depiction of what many Christians are calling in and pleading for, making emotional appeals, pleading. What type of pleads are they making? They are making pleads. They plead the blood of Jesus over their lives and over the lives of their children and those people that they love. They plead. That is an emotional appeal to plead the blood of Jesus over themselves and those people that they love. Now, what's wrong with this picture? Because most people would say if you saw this happening in a church, if you saw a pastor putting blood all over a baby or an adult, anybody for that matter, you would call it pure wickedness. Automatically, you would run for the hills. Most people would. And you would say, this is not right. This is satanic. This is against the Most High. But yet and still, there is this illusion that's been created in people's minds that what you say is not what you really mean, right? So you can go and ask a Christian, well, would you do this to your child if you had a bucket of Jesus's blood? Would you take that blood and bathe your child in it and say that this is protection? Or would you see it as being a wicked ritual that is very witchy? Okay, it gives off that energy of sadistic type of energy. And so most Christians would say no. Most of them wouldn't even touch the blood to put it on themselves or their child, right? But this is literally what you are pleading for and creating in the spiritual realm when you say that you plead the blood of a man, a dead man, over yourself and your loved ones. Now, what does that indicate? Because many of you have heard the phrase, the blood is on your hands, right? You've heard that before. You've heard people say, if you were an accomplice to a crime, the blood is on your hands. Or if you did not take forewarning, the blood is on your hands, right? What you're saying literally is that you're taking the blood of someone's sacrifice, someone's murder, because that's what it was, a murder, an outright murder. And you are pleading that blood over yourself and over your children. And so it's no different than you walking up to that same murdered man, right? Many who were called Yeshua, who came in with a particular assignment to awaken and to teach people how to use the gifts that the Most High had given them to heal themselves, to heal others, to awaken, to be more enlightened, to use alchemy. Okay? He was an ascended master who came here with an assignment that the powers that were did not like because it veered people away from their tradition and from the things that they was teaching them in order to maintain their position of power and authority over the masses. And so when Yeshua came through with a totally different way of doing things, they called him a warlock, right? They said that he was invoking the energy of the devil in order to perform a lot of the alchemy, that he was able to perform. And so they murdered him. And of course, it was a bloody massacre, especially, if they did the things that they've said they've done, which was nailing, putting nails in his feet and his arms. That was something that they used to do back then. That was a normal practice for the powers that were. to incite fear in others, was to take someone and to, you know, put them up and to put nails in their bodies. It was an all out murder. And Yeshua happened to be one of those people who unfortunately was sacrificed. But his was more ritualistic because they understood the power that he naturally possessed. And so they used that as a tool to reprogram the minds of the people and to completely turn his position and the blueprint that he left here into their superpower, their source of power. Okay. Now, some of you might say, well, he never exists. But even if he didn't exist, consider most Christians believe that he was here at some point in time. And so most Christians also recognize that he was here in the flesh, meaning he had a physical body. In order for him to have blood, he had physical body. He had a physical body. And so in order to have a physical body, he was definitely human. He was a man. A lot of people will try to excuse that and say no, but his blood it wasn't regular blood, so it's not like I would be using a regular man's blood. No, that was the blood of God, right? That's what they'll say. And so they'll excuse themselves and say, no, it's not blood sacrifice that I'm doing when I say I plead the blood of Jesus. That's not a blood sacrifice. It's not a blood sacrifice when I say I'm eating his flesh and drinking his blood. Of course not. No, this is a different type of blood and flesh, right? They continue to create these illusions for themselves so that they can separate this wicked sacrificial vampirism type of practice and make it sound pure. But I really want y'all to take a good look at this image and tell me, is this not a true depiction of what is being placed out into the atmosphere when you are saying that you plead the blood of Jesus over over your life and over the lives of those people that you love? And does this not look like a sacrifice that will call in very low vibrational entities and, very negative karma and, pretty much placing a death wish over yourself and the people that you love when you plead the blood of a dead man over your life? You might as well be bathing in it. And so these are the things that people, they just don't think about. It's just not something that comes to mind. But the Most High said, hey, I want to speak to you and through you. I had a conversation last night with someone, one of my loved ones, and we was having this conversation directly about, how people are so, so detached, and they're so caught up in the illusion and the spell work that the powers that were cast over them that they cannot see. They don't even hear themselves. They just regurgitate what someone else taught them to say, what someone behind a pulpit stood up and said over and over again. And now they have been able to separate a ritualistic practice of a man who was sacrificed. They've been able to separate it and define it now as being a way of purity, a way of protecting, a way of healing. And that's so far from the truth. Because these are the same people that if they saw you talking about you want to take the blood of somebody that you believed in, and that's what and that's what you're using for protection, automatically they will coin you as a witch, as a warlock, as a evil doer, a conjurer of demons. They would have so many different terms for you. But they don't see what they are doing themselves when they are saying these things and speaking these things over their own lives and over the lives of their children. Sometimes in order to understand what you're saying, you have to see what that really looks like. And this picture is a depiction of what it really looks like when a pastor says, bring your child to me so I can plead the blood, okay, of Jesus over their lives. You might as well hand your child to them and let them slather blood all over them, because it is all nothing but ritualistic practice. And it's a demonic practice. Okay? This is not of the Most High. Saying that and speaking that over your life and the lives of your children is not of the Most High. You might as well just go ahead and put a doggone target sign on their head, because that's exactly what you're doing when you say that you are pleading the blood of someone who was literally murdered over their lives. But this will go through one ear and come right out the other for most Christians. Most of them will not hear what I have to say. Most of them clicked off of the video the first 2 seconds when they heard me say what I said, because they cannot accept the fact that this is truly what they are doing when they speak those words. It's time for a deprogramming. It's time to cleanse yourself, cleanse your mind of all of that programming that has been passed down from one generation to the next out of the energy of fear. All of this was taught to you backwards. And so many people are so afraid to even question it, to even consider that it may not be what was taught to them. They will fight you tooth and nail. And the only thing they have to stand on to back them up is one book. One book that man told them is the words of the Most High. And so that's where they get stuck, boxed in, completely trapped, never able to move, never able to learn, never able to expand, because they don't give themselves permission to fully interpret the passages beyond what they have been taught by people who were given a script. People who was given a script. These priests, these pastors, these ministers, these bishops, deacons, deaconess, prophetess, I don't care what name you want to give them. They all come from the same umbrella, the same teachings, the same, doctrine. It has been given to them a particular way to be fed to you a particular way, because they have to maintain a particular structure in order for the powers that were to maintain their position and to keep their foot over your neck. The whole objective is to continue to have you perform these rituals and to speak these rituals out into the atmosphere, because it feeds the power of the beast of Babylon. It feeds it. It nourishes it. And there you are, putting that same blood on the hands of your children. No, keep it on yourself. If you're going to plead somebody's blood, if you want to splather and bathe and roll around in a murdered man's blood, you do that yourself. But stop putting that type of stuff over your children. Stop teaching that stuff to your children. Give them permission to live and to not be anchored down and chained to this low vibrational energy that you have allowed yourself to feed on, because you're afraid that veering outside of what you've been taught is going to lead you to the pits of what they call hell, even though your whole life has been a straight depiction of that hell. Give yourself permission to no longer put that blood on the hands of your children, because you're speaking and even your own scriptures tell you that life and death is in the power of the tongue. Your tongue is sharper than any two-edged sword. So that lets you know that what you speak out into the atmosphere cuts more than any physical knife could ever cut. So that lets you know that words are tangible. Words do matter. Words do materialize, and they form and they become something. So when you're telling me, oh, well, I'm speaking this, but I don't really mean it in the literal sense. And then you turn around at the same time and read the passage that says that your words are just as tangible as any two-edged sword. It has just the same. It is actually more destructive than a sword can be to the physical vessel. But when you look at this picture And you say, but when I plead the blood of Jesus over myself and my children, that's not what I mean. No, that's exactly what you mean. And it's having more of an impact on them than you know. Really think about what you are saying. Give it some real thought. This is the time of knowing and no longer believing. Give yourself permission to learn the truth, to seek the truth, to evaluate what you've been taught, and to really determine, is this of the Most High? Or have I been convinced that this is the truth because this is the wide path? This is what most of my family knows. This is what my parents know. This is what my siblings know. And and then the pride and ego kicks in because now you're afraid to learn anything different because now you've taught this to your children. And so now you're fearful of being a hypocrite. And so you'll just stay stuck. Give yourself permission to learn, to deprogram, and to fully evaluate what you have been taught. And I guarantee you, you will begin to question everything. You will begin to see the truth in everything when you give yourself permission to open up them spiritual eyes. That's my message for you all. Share this message with some people. Let them know that this is exactly what they are creating. Ask them, is this really what you would want? Would you really perform this type of ritual? The same thing that you speak out into the atmosphere. Would you actually do this to your child or to yourself for that matter? People need to see things to believe them. That's my message for you all. I love you. Like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this. And I'll talk to you all next time.